returned my heart to Cassiopeia. I jealously fulfilled our plan for 1,000,000 years to wait and hope. Today, I have waited double that, giving coordinates, but nobody answers my call. What could have happened to my signal? Will it be that I have left myself without a home? Today, I barely survived my fate, far from my star, far from my people. This troubled time has shown me another lesson. Our own world is always the best. I am going, slowly weakening. Perhaps I am no longer me when they find me.
Great. Definitely a very poetic sentiment there. And I think this thing of isolation, that we feel, nadie me contestó, nobody answered my call. So, beautiful. So, actually, since we're moving a little behind today, I thought we would go to Estefania and Mateus for music, and then come back with some more of the poems of Silvio Rodriguez, and I also have some Portuguese, Brazilian poetry picked out. So it's funny because one of the ones I picked out is also about a star. So sort of nice little synchronicity there. Estefania and Mateus are a Cambridge duo. They do acoustic folk. Their music spans the range between an international range, French music, Brazilian, Mexican. I was struck by hearing them up at Davis Square while they were busking, and it's just such a lovely sound from two people. So welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. What song do you have picked out first here?
So we're going to sing a very standard bossa song, Garota de Ipanema, also known as The Girl from Ipanema.
Antonio Carlos Jobim.
Of course.
Yeah, let's hear that.
Coisa mais linda, mais cheia de graça. Ela menina que vem, que passa, num doce balanço, caminho do mar. Moça do corpo dourado do sol de Ipanema, o seu balançado é mais que poema, e a coisa mais linda que eu já vi passar. Porque estoy tan sozinho. Porque tudo está triste. A beleza que existe. A beleza que não é só minha, que também passa sozinha. Se ela soubesse que quando ela passa, o mundo sorrindo se enche de graça e fica mais lindo por causa do amor. Tall and tan and young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema goes walking, and when she passes each one, she passes goes. When she walks, it's like a samba that swings so cool and sways so gentle that when she passes each one, she passes goes. Oh, but I watch her so sadly. How can I tell her I love her? Yes, I would give my heart gladly, but each day when she walks to the sea, she looks straight ahead, not at me. Tall and tan and young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema goes walking, and when she passes, he smiles, but she doesn't see. No, she doesn't see. No, she doesn't see. She just doesn't see.
All right, thank you. Very nice. Great. I love that song. It's a beloved song, like all over the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I remember reading at one point it was like New York Times in the op-ed section they had a thing saying that it was chosen as like the best song of the century. So that's a high distinction. I'm sure it's completely subjective, but a lot of people would agree. So, Mateus was on guitar on that, and Estefania was singing. Are you going to be playing out somewhere coming up soon, or?
Whenever the weather gets better,
Okay.
we're thinking about playing outside.
So you enjoy this aire libre?
Oh yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Cool.
It's hard on the guitar, hard on the voice.
Yeah. Great, yeah. And what was the next Jobim tune? We were gonna hear one other one.
We might hear one at the end. But
okay.
we are going to go to Elis Regina's daughter, Margarita.
Okay.
It's a song called "Light of My Heart."
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Let's hear that.
Ao meu coração que cansado de sofrer só deseja adormecer na palma da tua mão. Conta o meu coração história das crianças para que reviva as velhas esperanças. Mente ao meu coração mentiras cor de rosa, que as mentiras de amor não deixam cicatrizes. E tu és a mentira mais gostosa de todas as mentiras que tu diz. Mente ao meu coração que cansado de sofrer só deseja adormecer na palma da tua mão. Conta ao meu coração história das crianças para que ele reviva as velhas esperanças. Mente ao meu coração mentiras cor de rosa, que as mentiras de amor não deixam cicatrizes. E tu és a mentira mais gostosa de todas as mentiras que tu diz.
Beautiful, nice, thank you. So I could feel the sentiment from that song. Tell us a little bit about what it's about for the non-Portuguese speakers.
So I love this song because it talks about lying to someone, but someone that is happily lied to.
Okay.
So it's telling the person, I want you to give me the pink lies, like love lies.
Okay.
Because I want to be as innocent as a child and just feel loved, even if it's not true, because love lies don't leave scars.
That's great.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Ignorance is bliss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. In this situation, yes.
Estefania, you're not a native Portuguese speaker though, right?
I'm not.
So was it a hard transition or an easy transition to learn Portuguese language songs?
So it was thanks to my parents,
Uh-huh.
honestly. I grew up in Mexico,
Okay.
and anytime we had a road trip, they would put bossa on. And it was just so soothing, and
Yeah.
it would get all over me. And we just ended up singing it, even as little kids. We were singing in Portuguese and we didn't realize it, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell listeners, is there a website to go for your, or an Instagram, or what do we have for you?
So Mateus's Instagram is at Carato, or what is
No,
it?
it's Mateus, Mateus.cal. But you have this Instagram for
Yeah, I
the
have
project, right?
I have a stoof.
Okay.
It's ESTOOF, and I'm on YouTube, on SoundCloud, and on Instagram as well.
And after this show, you can also find it, this episode of Open Reading on Mixcloud, mixcloud.com/openreadingbfr. It has the archive of all the shows on it. So we're going to go back to Ellen now. This is San Glima. You're listening to Open Reading on Boston Free Radio. I'm in the studio with Ellen Rounsville and Estefania and Mateus. And we're going to hear two more Spanish language poems of Silvio Rodriguez. The first one Ellen's going to do, and then the second one we'll hear Estefania do the Spanish part of it.
So the next poem I'm going to read is Unicornio, and I chose it because it has a reference to one of the portraits that I did.
Oh.
I'll read it now. Mi unicornio azul, ayer se me perdió, pastando lo dejé y desapareció. Cualquier información bien la voy a pagar. Las flores que dejó no me han querido hablar. Mi unicornio azul, ayer se me perdió. No sé si se me fue, no sé si se extravió. Y yo no tengo más que un unicornio azul. Si alguien sabe de él, le ruego información. 100,000 o 1,000,000 yo pagaré. Mi unicornio azul se me ha perdido ayer. Se fue. Mi unicornio y yo hicimos amistad, un poco con amor, un poco con verdad. Con su cuerno de añil pescaba una canción, saberla compartir. Era su vocación. Mi unicornio azul ayer se me perdió y puede parecer acaso una obsesión, pero no tengo más que un unicornio azul. Y aunque tuviera dos, yo solo quiero aquel. Cualquier información la pagaré. Mi unicornio azul se me ha perdido ayer. Se fue.
He's gone.
Gone, yeah.
Okay, so in English.
In English, it's more or less.
Okay.
Yesterday, my blue unicorn was lost. While grazing, he disappeared. I'll generously reward any information of his whereabouts. The flowers he left behind, they don't want to talk to me. Yesterday I lost my blue unicorn. I don't know if he escaped. I don't know if he got lost. And I have nothing more, nothing but a blue unicorn. If someone knows anything about him, I beg they share that with me. 100,000 or 1,000,000, I will pay. My blue unicorn got lost yesterday. He's gone. My unicorn and I forged a friendship that was based a bit on love, based a bit on truth. With his indigo horn, he would capture a song. He knew how to share it. That was his vocation. Yesterday I lost my blue unicorn, and this might seem an obsession, but I have nothing but a blue unicorn. And even if I had two, the only one I would want is that one. I'll pay for any information. My blue unicorn got lost yesterday. He's gone.
It's terrible.
I know.
So yeah, so we see, you know, Silvio Rodriguez here. He's pushing, you know, that imaginative aspect that we have and that poets have even further past. So, you know, what could be more fantastical or imaginative than a unicorn? But it's not just a unicorn; it's a blue unicorn. And he's not just a blue unicorn. He's lost. He's gone. So you sense this loss. There's also just like this totemic aspect of it, that power comes from these visions that we have. And I imagine you as a painter like are able to like invest power in the subjects you choose. And I think you also said maybe that your daughter was an inspiration of your selection of this.
Well, so my daughter chose a person to be in a portrait, and she chose the lady with the unicorn by Raphael. And she's also a violinist. And so she chose this image really, really quickly, just did a quick Google search. And what surprises me is that sometimes the people, the choices that my sitters choose, even though they were very random, end up being exactly what the right portrait.
Nice.
Because here is my daughter holding a unicorn on her lap, and here are these words from Silvio Rodriguez saying that with his indigo horn, he would capture a song. He knew how to share it. That was his vocation. And to me, that's what music is.
So the artist was constantly going out into these platonic realms, these two-dimensional realms, and bringing things back to us so that we can survive our banal existence. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
So, great. And you are at Brandeis, right? And you're in the Romance Languages department.
Yeah, I'm an administrator.
So we appreciate this fact that you're have these language skills. We're going to go on to Stefania is going to read us a Spanish version of one of Silvio Rodriguez. We'll hear that.
I want to quickly say that I'm so impressed that Ellen even know who Silvio Rodriguez is, because even in Mexico, not a lot of people know. and I really love this guy. So, vamos a andar. Vamos a andar en verso y vida tintos, levantando el recinto del pan y la verdad. Vamos a andar matando al egoísmo para que por lo mismo reviva la amistad. Vamos a andar hundiendo al poderoso, alzando al perezoso, sumando a los demás. Vamos a andar con todas las banderas trenzadas, de manera que no haya soledad. Que no haya soledad, que no haya soledad, que no haya soledad. Vamos a andar para llegar a la vida.
And so I think of it as a way of just going to get to art and to go through life. So let's take a walk in red tinted verse and life, lifting the fence from bread and the truth. Let's take a walk, killing selfishness that in this way friendship revives. Let's take a walk, sinking the powerful, raising up the lazy, joining with the rest. Let's take a walk with all the flags braided, so through this there is no loneliness. May there be no loneliness. May there be no loneliness. May there be no loneliness. Let's take a walk to get to life.
Okay, great, powerful. I want to be there too. We're gonna cut back to music now from Estefania and Mateus. We're going to hear a French selection. This is a very famous song as well. Maybe the most famous of international, well-known. This is La Vie en Rose.
Tes yeux qui font baisser les miens, un rire qui se perd sur sa bouche. Voilà le portrait sans retouche de l'homme auquel j'appartiens. Quand l'amour à plus finir. Un grand bonheur qui prend sa place. Les ennuis, les chagrins s'effacent. Heureux, heureuse en mourir. Quand il me prend dans ses bras, il me parle tout bas, je vois la vie en rose. Il me dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours, et ça me fait quelque chose. Il est entré dans mon cœur une part de bonheur dont je connais la cause. C'est lui pour moi, moi pour lui, dans la vie. Il me l'a dit, la journée pour la vie. Et dès que je l'aperçois, alors je sens dans moi mon cœur qui bat.
Very nice, thank you. That's great the way you're able to take this old chestnut like La Vie en Rose and imbue it with this great interpretation that you did. I wouldn't have expected to be so moved, right? Yeah, thank you. So, I mean, in keeping with this international flavor and polyglot flavor, here's my contribution. I was thinking of Ellen coming on and going through my French books. We both lived in France. Ellen lived in Rabelais' neighborhood. Was it Moudon? Moudon, yeah. And then I lived in a year over in the Alps in Savoie. And since she was a painter, I pulled off my shelf this book by Maurice Benamou, De la peinture à proprement parler, speaking how to speak properly about painting. And in it, there were some poems. There's a section of the book that are actually photographs of desiccated vegetables of all things. It was black and white, but they're very dramatic, right, Ellen?
Yes, very.
Yeah. So this one's about an eggplant, an aubergine in French, and I thought I'd read that and then we'll move on. So it says, Tenus ensemble par le nom aubergine, poussière qu'un éclair a saisi dans le noir, comme une momie au fond d'une poêle, vieille aubergine, faron mornay, ni l'odeur récluse, ni l'instant friable, ni sur des équilibres des catastrophes, la menace éversive du regard. Ces jours-là, les cigales criaient contre les décrépitudes, les filles des titans. Cris sans limite, désobstrués, tout souffle. Le cliché photographique vitrifie la mort et la vie. Mon peuple, dit Isée, ceux qui te trompent, qui veulent le faire croire que tu es heureux. A really like a beautiful poem that just like goes out in all directions and is sort of hyper dense with description. So in English it says, held together by the name aubergine, dust that a lightning bolt seized in the dark like a mummy at the bottom of a hypogée, which is a underground tomb. Old aubergine, stillborn pharaoh, neither the reclusive odor or the embrittled moment or the balances of catastrophe. The equivocal threat of that look that day, the cicadas cried out against decrepitude, the daughters of Tython cry without limit, dislodged from the breath of photographic cliché, vitrifies death and life. My people, Isaiah says, those who deceive you want to make you believe that you're happy. That's a powerful poem about an eggplant, right? Who would think it? That was Jacques Lozel, that was by, and we're going to if I can persuade Mateus to come over here, because I don't have the sheet, I have it up on the screen. We're going to hear a Portuguese language poem by a Brazilian poet. This is Manuel Bandeira, who was alive between 1886 and 1968. He was a poet, a literary critic, a translator. He moved from Sao Paulo to Rio de Janeiro because he had tuberculosis, supposed to be more healthful. Considered an intensely lyrical poet, he was elected to the Brazilian Letters Academy. And he one of the things that we're seeing today in this episode is like the intangible quality of poetry, how it goes into directions that aren't, things that you can grab on. And he called the intangible feminine and erotic, which I thought was interesting. So this poem is also about a star. And I'm going to hand the headphones to Mateus so he could hear.
Ok. Vi uma estrela tão alta, vi uma estrela tão fria, vi uma estrela luzindo na minha vida vazia. Era uma estrela tão alta, era uma estrela tão fria, era uma estrela sozinha, luzindo no fim do dia. Por que da sua distância, pra minha companhia, não baixava aquela estrela, porque tão alta luzia? That's deep. Definitely.
He said that's deep. So yeah, and here's the English language version of that. So connecting sort of what we've been talking with Ellen, just chime in here really quick about Cassiopeia. Why did you pick that poem?
Because I love the sound of the song, because it's lonely, and yet it's talking about where we belong in the world, and
Right.
it's about being separated or exiled from whatever. We all are exiled in some ways, maybe from our youth, maybe from a lover, maybe from someone in the past.
And I think that we as humans, we've been living so long with these stars that are so far away. We can even before we had technology, we were able to intuit like this idea that they're inestimably far away. So here's this poem in English by Bandeira. Is translated as, I saw such a high star, such a cold star, a shining star in my empty life. It was so high and so cold. It was a star glowing alone at the end of the day. Because of your distance from my company, why did that star go down? Why was it so bright? Okay.
That's it.
Great. And I thought we would move on to another song now, and then come back and recap. Maybe do one more poem before the end of the show. So, you guys, what would you like to pick for the next song?
We're gonna play Desafinado.
Oh, okay,
It's
great,
another Chopin.
nice. It's another Chopin.
And we're gonna try to bring in the salt shaker. This one.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You wanna try this?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, here. Copy.
Se você disser que eu desafio no amor, saiba que isso é me provoca
supported me. Yeah, we're coming up on the end of the show. This is Sound Clima on Open Reading. I'm with Ellen Rounsfeld and Estefania and Mateus. And we've been going through the different art worlds, poetry, music, and painting. And I'm going to ask Ellen if she has mind sliding over and reading. I have one last Brazilian Portuguese language poem. And I'm going to do the Portuguese part because Mateus gave me permission. He said that my accent was terrible, but maybe understandable. And then Ellen can use this mic too to give the English part. But so this is João Cabral de Melo Neto from Recife, alive between 1920 and 1999. He was a poet and diplomat, one of the most influential of the Brazilian modernists. He won the Neustadt International Prize in '92, and it says that his poetry is known for its rigorous but inventive attention to formal aspects. So this one's called The End of the World, O Fim do Mundo. O fim do mundo, no fim de mundo melancólico, os homens leem jornais, homens indiferentes a como laranjas que ardem como o sol, me deram uma maca para lembrar a morte. Sei que cidades telegrafam pedindo querosene, o véu que oie voar caiu no deserto. O poema final ninguém escrevera desse mundo particular de 12 horas, em vez de juízo final a mim me preocupa, o sonho final.
The end of the world. At the melancholy end of the world, men read the newspapers. Indifferent men eating oranges that flame like the sun. They gave me an apple to remind me of death. I know that cities telegraph asking for kerosene. The veil I saw flying fell in the desert. No one will write the final poem about this private 12 o'clock world. Instead of the Last Judgment, what worries me is the final dream.
What a great reading, thank you. That was great. So, yeah, I never know. I mean, I knew Ellen was a painter, but she's also great at reading poetry. So
Thank you.
that was a nice thing. So, yeah, and talking about like solitude, that image is just so stark that the veil I saw flying fell in the desert. Like, what could be like a more graphic image of isolation and loneliness, right? A veil falling in the desert. No one's there. Somehow just aware of it. We're going to end the show with a mashup of Mañana and Aguas a Beber.
Agua de beber.
Agua de Beber, okay. And thank you, Ellen, so much for coming on. I want everyone to check out her painting. Go to her website, ellenrounsfeld.com, and keep your eye out on the street for Estefania and Mateus for their busking. If you want to write us, you can write us at Open Reading VFR, that's for Boston Free Radio, openreadingvfr@gmail.
We're just setting up.
All right.
Sorry about that.
We,
Susanna.
Live situation.
we came up with this mashup this morning.
Nice.
We wanted to play both of them, and we're like, we might not have time, so let's try this out. This is happening live.
Great.
Yeah, that's it. Start with Mañana? Or the other one?
Yeah, well, just a bit more.
Okay. Yeah, kick off me.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Una mañana linda, como una flor, tu corazón al sol le mostrará. Una mañana de beber, camarão. Água de beber. Água de beber, camarão. Eu quis amar, mas tive medo. E quis salvar meu coração. Mas o amor sabe um segredo. O medo pode matar o seu coração. Una mañana linda, como la flor, como el amor que siempre te daré, que siempre te daré, que siempre te daré.
All right, thank you. Great. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and thanks for tuning in to Boston Free Radio Open Reading. And stay tuned for future episodes.
You guys are great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Concert.
Honestly, who would have thought? Like, you were the perfect person to have today. We should have done Silvio Rodriguez.
Yeah, that was great. It was a lot of nice coincidences.
Just like in life, right? And in
Yeah.
painting and in art. Yeah, coincidences.
Say bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.